So I thought for Locke, as I've been doing Hobbes and Locke, I would read through at least some of the reading. This is kind of difficult, obviously difficult prose, and again, it's good to read it aloud. I think it helps quite a bit. Not necessarily hear me read it aloud, but for you to read it aloud to yourself. Chapter 7 of Political or Civil Society. Already sort of suggesting something there. Political society or civil society, as opposed to what? God having made man such a creature that in his own judgment it was not good for him to be alone. You can see the biblical influence on Locke. This is straight out of the book of Genesis, right? Put him under strong obligations of necessity, convenience, and inclination to drive him into society. Human beings are social creatures for all sorts of reasons, right? As well as fitted him with an understanding and language to continue and enjoy it. That might be a direct reference to Aristotle, the idea that rationality and especially speech are signs that human beings are meant to live together. The first society was between man and wife, which gave beginning to that between parents and children, to which in time that between master and servant came to be added. This is also very close to Aristotle's Politics, isn't it? And that mention of master and servant is also very Aristotelian, but also indicates that although Locke is dead set against slavery, he's not dead set against master and servant relationships, is he? And though all these might and commonly did meet together and make up but one family, wherein the master or mistress of it had some sort of rule proper to a family, each of these, or altogether, came short of political society, as we shall see if we consider the different ends, ties, and bounds of each of these. I would say also making a similar point there to Aristotle, and that is that the kind of society we have within the family and relations like that that's not political society. Political society is something different. Civil society is a different level and has different conditions. It may be that a family can emerge, let's say, naturally, I don't know, but civil society is not really a natural thing. It's an artificial thing, I think, as Hobbes would say. And certain things have to be done. Certain choices have to be made. Certain promises and acts need to be performed in order for there to be civil society. Man being born, as has been proved, with a title to perfect freedom and an uncontrolled enjoyment of all the rights and privileges of the law of nature, equally with any other man, or number of men in the world, hath by nature a power not only to preserve his property, that is, his life, liberty, and estate, against the injuries and attempts of other men, but to judge of and punish the breaches of that law in others, as he is persuaded the offense deserves, even with death itself, in crimes where the heinousness of the fact, in his opinion, requires it. Just sort of reiterating that human beings are born free. In the state of nature, they have perfect freedom. They are still bound by the law of nature, not by any human law, but the law of nature, and each of them is empowered to enforce that law. So, things that he suggested already. But to continue right here, but because no political society can be, nor subsist, without having in itself the power to preserve the property, and in order thereunto punish the offenses of all those of that society, there and there only is political society, where every one of the members hath quitted this natural power, resigned it up into the hands of the community, in all cases that exclude him not from appealing for protection to the law established by it. That is, when do we, what is the difference between living in the state of nature and living in the state of civil society? Well, in civil society, all the individuals within that society must have given up their natural right, their natural power to enforce the natural law to a sovereign, to a government. That is, in the state of nature, each one of us is absolutely free to live within the natural law and to punish offenses of it. In the state of civil society, we have given up that that power to punish offenses to a designated authority. And okay, continuing, and thus all private judgment of every particular member being excluded, the community comes to be umpire by settled standing rules, indifferent and the same to all parties. He's talking about the rule of law. And by men having authority from the community for the execution of those rules, decides all the differences that may happen between any members of that society concerning any matter of right, and punishes those offenses which any member hath committed against the society with such penalties as the law has established, whereby it is easy to discern who are and who are not in political society together, those who are united into one body and have a common established law and judicature to appeal to, with authority to decide controversy between them and punish offenders, are in civil society one with another. But those who have no such common appeal, I mean on earth, are still in the state of nature, each being where there is no other judge for himself and executioner, which is, as I have before showed it, the perfect state of nature. So what is the real difference between the state of nature and the state of civil society, which are these complete contrasts, right? It's law. It's the existence of law and the existence of some sort of authority to enforce law.